tell us a little bit about your role in the film.
Yeah, I play Sienna, who is the reincarnation of the goddess Athena, trapped in a mortal body of a young girl. When you first meet her in the film, she's currently in hiding under the care of her chosen father, Alman. She is a little hard-headed, a little stubborn. She isn't quick to take a liking to Seiya when we first meet him, or much of anything, really. But, I like to think underneath all of that hardness, she's really just frightened and dealing with practically the weight of the world on her shoulders.
Yeah, that's. I think that's very well said, because if I'm not mistaken, there's quite a few people after you.
There's a lot. There's a lot. But you know what's interesting, because, and I've talked about this a little bit, but there's so much external conflict going on throughout the film. But for me, when I was sort of diving into Sienna and just the story as a whole, what always really stuck out to me was her own internal battle and sort of the challenge of destiny versus choice, and sort of this back and forth she's having with herself of, having to be in the space of these responsibilities that she bears versus just wanting to be, a normal girl for just a day. And that's always really stuck out to me in the story.
Now, Athena's a very prominent character. We've seen her in a variety of different stories, video games. What's different, what is unique about your version of the character?
And this is the interesting thing about live action as well, because when I signed onto the project, I did a ton of research. There's a lot out there. I tried not to read too much online because there's a lot of conversations all over the place. And I think with live action, the goal is to make everything feel as grounded and as real without losing the magic, but also staying truthful to the story, staying truthful to what the fans want. And I'm not kidding, every single little detail you can possibly think of is being discussed at some moment. So I think some people think that things are just forgotten about. I'm like, there was probably a long conversation about this specific thing. So with Athena, we did so many makeup tests, hair tests. We talked every single possible version of her we could think of. And I think I'm allowed to say this, because in the trailer you will see Athena has the purple hair. And that's been a huge discussion from the beginning. But for me, at least, when I first started doing research, it was the first thing I fell in love with. And I know there's the anime where she does have the long purple hair, there's the manga where she doesn't. And we tried it all. We tried to see, what fit our version of Athena the best. And it just always struck to me. It always just felt right. And I remember it was a conversation up until probably the first day of filming. I think I went to bed that night on the phone with our director, Tomek, and I was pushing, and I was like, I'm telling you, it's the wig. And he said, let me sleep on it. I'll call you in the morning. And so I woke up at 4:30 that morning, went into the trailer. I was like, what are we doing? He put the wig on, and then it was, there's no going back after that. So I hope everyone's really pleased. I feel really passionate about it, and I think the fans are going to love it. And I just think it just pays so much respect to the anime, and I think I hope they really love it.
So you did deep dive a little bit into the source material?
I did, and there's a lot. I feel like I'm still not fully caught up. I don't know if I ever will be, truthfully, because I did not know there was so much of the story. But also, it makes me really excited, because if we did get a chance to do more, our story barely covers anything at all. It really introduces you to some of the characters, which I think is great, especially for people who have no idea what Saint Seiya is, what Knights of the Zodiac is. So if we do get another one, there's so many other characters that we can bring on board. We can have new actors come on and bring a whole new life. Really, the world is our oyster. I was actually going to say that, but it is. The world is kind of our oyster. We can do anything. There's so many parts of the story we can dive into depending on what the fans react to, what parts of the story they enjoy the most. They're really going to be the ones that navigate sort of what comes next.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you're a fan of anime beforehand, or?
I am an anime baby.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
okay.
I am. Yeah. I love fantasy. I grew up with Lord of the Rings. That was mine. But I was an anime baby, and then I actually had never heard of Knights of the Zodiac, Saint Seiya, until it was brought up to me. But I also heard that it didn't really make a huge impact in the States. and did much better internationally, which I also thought was interesting. 'Cause I did so much research, and then we had one of our producers on set is sort of like, I call him like our Saint Seiya God, because I literally, any questions we had, I think I was calling him every single day, being like, okay, what does this mean? What happens here? What happens in the story later here? And just really trying to play as much catch up as I could. I mean, because we really just want to do justice and give truthful work to the people who know everything about this world, because there's a lot of people who know a lot about it.
Being that you're one of them, how do you feel it translates to live action? Because with animation, a lot of times anime, what makes it special is really some of those exaggerated features where you can emote a lot more emotion, and sometimes it doesn't translate too well to live action. How do you feel that Zodiac does?
I think what helps in that situation, at least for like everything we did was basically on a green screen. I think we shot probably like 80% of our film in the studio on a screen, which for us was a little confusing because we never really knew exactly what was happening the whole time. But I think that takes a lot of the heavy weight out of having to worry about that, because there's so much in the atmosphere, there's so much in the visuals even alone, and the Cosmo and how it burns and how that is done in the special effects, that I think that's where that impact lies. And then as far as performance, it's hard because it's hard to think about the physical attributes when at least for me, the main thing I was trying to focus on was just the performance and telling the story of Sienna and Athena and making that the most truthful that I could, and then kind of like hoping sort of the CGI does nothing but enhance that along the way.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Madison.
you.
It was a really nice chat with you.